Good morning, everybody. So today I want to show you how to take your other colors. So it could be a swirly one like this, or it could just be a plain color, and add it onto other areas of your alebrije. So I want to make my belly and the underneath part of the chin and this part of my animal out of this clay right here. So I'm just going to kind of shove the armature wire out of the way. I can move the legs a little bit, scoot them out, so there's more space for me to add it in. Now, there is a way for you to add more of the outside color on, so if this is a little bit too big, once I cut it, then we can adjust. So I'm just gonna take a guess as to kind of what shape this is, and if it's a little bit too big, I can always cut some off, okay? So I'm gonna leave mine a little bit too big. Maybe I'm gonna go on this side. Okay, so I'm gonna trim what kind of shape I think I'm mostly seeing, and I'm gonna lay it on there. And like I've said before in other videos, you can work on top of the tin foil or stuff, but this can leave a mark on a table if you're not careful. Okay, so I like, let's see, maybe I'll do this way. So something great about this kind of clay is, add it on, and if you don't like it, then, it's not permanent, so you can just take it back off again. So it's not gonna be permanent until you bake it. So you can change the shape however you want. So I think this is actually pretty good, but I'm gonna trim this a little bit off so it's a little bit easier for me to touch up later. So I'm gonna take this part and I'm gonna lay it on here. This top part I think looks pretty good. I'm gonna kind of squeeze it in down between the leg. I'm gonna wrap it around here, squeeze it down in between that leg a little bit. And actually I got it pretty close to fitting perfect, so score for us. On the sides here, like this is too much down on this side, so I'm gonna just trim that off. I don't have to be super crazy neat about it, but I do wanna try to avoid messing up the front of the clay as much as I can. If the edges are a little bit funky, that's okay, because we're gonna cover it up later, so it doesn't really matter. But you can see how this side I've already kind of started to trim it to match, and then I'll do the same thing on this side. So I'm gonna cut the clay carefully with my tool here. I'm gonna trim some of that off, and then we'll take a look at it again. So really this is just a lot of adjustments, right? So I've got that part, I like that part, so I'm gonna squish it on there. And then I'm gonna squish down in between the legs a little bit, and I'm gonna move this part of the leg out of the way so I can wrap this around. And I'm gonna dent in here, and I just keep squishing it until it's looking like it's fairly well wrapped around the body where I want it. So now I have this part is covered with that kind of clay. So for the edges, what I want to do is I want to cover up some of those edges, because I don't want my bunny to have little funky spots like that. I don't want to leave that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the green clay, and like I said, you don't have to do a striped clay like this. Do be careful though, if you're using a lighter color, to like clean your fingers in between touching different parts of the character that you're making. But so you'll roll out a little coil, and you're gonna stick the coil along the edge of where you wanna clean up, like this. And once you stick it around the edge, then you can blend it in on this side, like that. And you just go all the way around and blend in all the areas. If you need to use a tool to get in there to blend in all the areas, then you do that. And you just flatten it out so there's just a little teeny overlap over there, so it covers up any funky edges. And then once you have this part on, same thing, for the ears. I'm gonna do the ears the same way. Now I know I don't need a huge amount for the ears, so I'm gonna cut something that's vaguely ear shaped, like that. And I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna trace this on there. I'm just gonna gently push it to leave a little mark. And I know I'm gonna cut this a little bit smaller than the mark that I'm leaving. So, yeah, okay. So this one's kind of hard to see just because of the kind of clay pattern that it is. So I'm just gonna mark it in a little bit so you can see it. So here's my mark, and I'm gonna cut it a little bit smaller, and then I'm gonna check it and see what it looks like on the inside of my ear. And if I like it, great. If I don't, then I'm gonna try something else. Because like I said, until you bake it, it's not permanent. So I can lay this on the inside and I can check, and you know, that actually looks pretty good up at the top, but I think I'm gonna thin it out just a little bit at the bottom. So since I didn't stick it on there yet, I can just, and I haven't baked it yet, I can just do a little bit of a adjustment and then I can check it again. And like I said, do check and make sure that, you know, keep your fingers clean as much as possible. I'm starting to get green all over my fingers. So just keep a little paper towel or something handy. So let me add this back in and check it one more time. Okay, so to me that looks pretty good. So I would make sure that it's nice and even. And then if I like it, I'm just gonna squeeze it in there and keep it. Now this one, since it's kind of inset into the ear, I probably won't end up needing to add a border like I did on the outside here, but I could. So that's how to add on a basic, you know, color difference. And I could do it wherever I wanted. So I'm still gonna add something underneath the chin right there. Although I kind of like them without it on the chin, but I'm gonna definitely do the ears. I've got right here, if I wanted to do part of the tail, so like this part of the tail, I could do that part of the tail too. That would be a nice little added detail. If I wanted to have like, you know, a stripe running down it or different blocks of different colors, I can totally do that too. And once I have it all nice and blended in, then I can add the clay onto the arms and stuff. So when you add it onto the arms, it's just, you're making a little coil, flattening it out. So this is for super skinny stuff. If you need something that's a little bit thicker, then you can do that. But I'm just gonna stick it around the wire and just kind of wrap it around the wire and smush it until it's nice and smooth and blended. So that's how I would add on the clay for the arms. And then I can, as long as I'm careful, I can bend it back and forth and reposition it so it's in the position that I want. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good night.